Imagine the marble halls of the United Nations, translators whispering into earpieces, cameras flashing, leaders shifting in their seats. Then the doors swing open. In walks Donald Trump. The air changes instantly. Some expect a show, others a confrontation. What no one expects is how far he'll go. This isn't diplomacy, this is a shockwave. When Donald Trump walked to the UN podium, he didn't just approach a microphone. He approached a global stage where every word echoes into history. Delegates leaned forward, phones tilted upward to record. Even the usually unflappable Secretary General blinked. This wasn't going to be a polite address with carefully crafted paragraphs. This was Trump unplugged, unscripted, and unrestrained. A speech designed not to fit the system, but to smash it open. Trump's opening words were a thunderclap. He accused the UN of becoming an institution of empty rituals, a hall of speeches, not a chamber of solutions. His voice rose as he listed the conflict still raging, the refugees still fleeing, the dictators still laughing at resolutions. If this place can't secure peace, he demanded, what is it really for? Gasps, murmurs, heads turning. This was not the usual diplomat's handshake speech. This was a courtroom cross-examination of the entire world order. From there, he launched into immigration, not just U.S. borders, but Europe's. He painted a picture of towns transformed overnight, cultures washed away, governments paralyzed by their own policies. He warned leaders to protect your heritage, your borders, your people, or risk losing everything. The room went still. Some delegates scribbled furiously in notebooks. Others stared straight ahead as his words reverberated through their earpieces. Then came climate change. Trump leaned toward the microphone, his tone lower, more deliberate. The greatest con job in history, he called it. He accused global elites of weaponizing green policies to control citizens and strangle economies. Look at your factories, he said. Look at your energy bills. Look at who profits. It was a direct challenge to the Paris Agreement generation of leaders who see climate as an existential threat. In that moment, cameras captured several ministers exchanging glances. One even rolled his eyes. But Trump wasn't finished. He pivoted to the war in Gaza, his voice cutting through the chamber. It must stop. Immediately, he declared. He blasted the idea of recognizing a Palestinian state during active conflict, calling such moves a reward for terror. He held up his own record, claiming to have ended 7 different wars, as proof that peace required strength, not compromise. This section of the speech sent ripples across the Middle Eastern delegations. Some applauded softly. Others stared daggers. Then, in classic Trump fashion, he zoomed out to Europe's energy dependence on Russia. He accused European countries of funding their own strategic threat by buying Russian oil and gas. He threatened crushing tariffs on nations that continued to feed the beast. This was less speech, more economic ultimatum, the kind of language rarely heard in the marble UN chamber. The delivery itself became part of the spectacle. His teleprompter failed early on, prompting him to ad-lib. "That's okay," he quipped. "I speak better from the heart." He cracked a joke about a broken escalator in the UN lobby, calling it the perfect metaphor for this place, shiny on the outside, broken underneath. Delegates laughed nervously, but the improvisation gave his words the electricity of a live wire. You could feel the tension, the unpredictability. Was he going to throw out another headline-making line? Everyone stayed glued. Outside the chamber, world leaders' social media feeds lit up like fireworks. Some praised his courage and authenticity. Others condemned the speech as reckless, even dangerous. Hashtags exploded. News tickers rolled. Within minutes, cable networks around the world cut into programming to broadcast clips. Analysts argued in split screens. Was Trump tearing down the old order or offering a necessary wake-up call? Beneath the spectacle, though, lay a consistent theme. Trump was selling a world of strong, sovereign nations, nations negotiating deals directly without what he called global bureaucracy. He framed the UN not as a meeting ground, but as an obstacle course. He wanted nations to think about their own people first, their own energy first, their own borders first. Whether you call it realism, nationalism, or isolationism, it resonated with leaders frustrated by years of diplomatic gridlock. By the middle of the speech, you could see the divide in the room. Some leaders nodded and whispered support. Others folded their arms, brows furrowed. When he spoke about climate change, a delegate from a small island nation simply shook his head and looked down, perhaps thinking of rising seas back home. When he demanded an end to the Gaza war, a ripple of applause broke out from one section of the hall, while another section remained silent. This is what made the speech more than just a headline. It was a test of the UN's self-image. Could it absorb such a direct challenge and still hold together? Could it reform fast enough to keep pace with a new era of hard-edged politics? Trump's speech didn't offer answers so much as it forced the questions out into the open. As the last words echoed off the UN's high ceiling, Trump stepped back from the podium, a faint smile crossing his face. Delegates applauded politely, some out of respect, some out of shock, some because they didn't know what else to do. The cameras followed him out of the hall, but the reverberations of his speech stayed behind, bouncing off the marble, sinking into the headphones of translators, and traveling instantly to screens across the globe. In the days to come, pundits will dissect every line. Supporters will call it the bravest speech of the decade. Critics will call it a diplomatic earthquake, but nobody will call it boring. Trump's appearance at the UN didn't just deliver a message, it set off a tremor under the foundations of the global system. Whether that tremor becomes an earthquake or a rebuild is still uncertain. One thing, though, is crystal clear. In a world drowning in cautious statements and bland communiques, one fiery speech can still shake the entire international order, and Donald Trump just proved it.